Subscribe to our channel. You can click on the bell icon below and never miss any updates from Oliveboard. Hi guys! Welcome to Oliveboard's Basics on Grammar series. In this video, we are going to talk about tenses. However, very few direct questions on tenses have come in the recent past in recent examinations. But tenses are very useful because these are tested in questions like error spotting, correct and incorrect sentences. This is to an extent जहाँ पे tenses can also help us solve questions on parajumbles, sentence connections and more of such. So let's get started. अच्छा, तो हमको पता है tenses की basically 3 categories होती हैं. Tenses क्या बताते हैं? Tenses tell us about time frame. किस time में एक particular action हो रहा है, right? And we know it's the present, past and the future tense. But apart from this, there are 4 subcategories in every tense, like the simple present, the simple past and so on. Now these categories tell us specification of when a certain action has started or the specific time frame of a particular action happening. तो चलिए देखते हैं ये 4 categories क्या हैं. The first one is the simple form. It can be simple present, simple past or simple future. But simple form shows the state of action alone with no mention of it being complete or not. Simple form हमें ये बताता है कि उस current tense में एक particular action ऐसा था या ऐसा होगा. Continuous form. It shows that the action is incomplete and still going on. Now it could be in different phases or it could be in different tenses. जैसे कि past continuous हमें बताएगा कि action particular time in the past में incomplete था और past में ही चल रहा था towards getting completed. The third is the perfect form. It denotes that the action is complete or perfect at the time of speaking. Like that time of speaking could be past, present, future. But जब उस form की बात हो रही थी तब वो particular action complete या perfect tense में था. The perfect continuous tense denotes that the action is going on and not completed at the time of speaking. The past perfect continuous tense का मतलब फिर ये होगा कि एक particular action जो past में refer किया था हम लोगों ने वो उस समय complete नहीं हुआ था पर वो completion की तरफ चल रहा था. The action was going on towards getting completed. Now that we individually know what each of these tense means and what each of their subtypes mean, let us put it all into perspective by looking at each of the tense in detail. हम present tense से शुरू करते हैं. Present tense हमें क्या बताता है? It talks about an action in now, अभी के time frame में. Again, let us have a look at the brief table which gives us a categorization of how the verb form has to be when we are forming a sentence in the present tense with different subtypes. Let's have a look at it. The simple present tense will have he, she with the first form of verb along with an S. For example, he plays. मतलब simple present tense के case में first form of the verb के end में S लगेगा. Now this is an exception. बाकी और कहीं पे भी आप verb के end पे S नहीं देखोगे until and unless it is the simple present tense. लेकिन in the case of I, you or they, we will only have the first form of the verb without the S at its end, which means I, you and they will take the plural form of the verb. For example, they play. Moving on to present continuous tense, he and she along with is take the first form of the verb in the ing form. For example, he is playing. You, they के साथ are लगता है और I के साथ am लगता है. But in तीनों ही cases में the first form of the verb is used in its continuous tense, that is with ing. For example, they are playing, I am playing. In the present perfect tense, for the singular forms he and she, we use has, but for I, you and they, we use have along with the third form of verb. For example, he has played, they have played. Present perfect के केस में हम हमेशा थर्ड फॉर्म ऑफ द वर्ब यूज करते हैं along with has or have. Last is the present perfect continuous tense. Now we know already कि continuous के केस में हमेशा verb का ing वाला फॉर्म आएगा क्योंकि हम बात कर रहे हैं about something that is going on, वो एक्शन जो चल रहा है. Again, यहाँ पे he and she के साथ we'll use has been, whereas I, you and they के साथ we will use have been. For example, he has been playing, they have been playing. Simple, right? Something that we've all learnt in school. But जब competitive exam में apply करने की बात आती है तो हम थोड़ा confuse हो जाते हैं. To counter this confusion and to tackle questions on tenses in exams better, let us solve 2 questions on tenses which are related to present tense. इससे हमको अच्छा perspective मिल जाएगा how we can employ all this knowledge into competitive exams. तो चलिए question solve करते हैं. The first question here is of error spotting. Here, a sentence has been divided into 5 parts. The last part in bold is correct as it is. Now, out of the remaining 4 parts, there's only one part which is without error. मतलब सिर्फ एक ऐसा पार्ट है जिसमें गलती नहीं है, बचे हुए तीनों में शायद गलती है. We have to pick the option जिसमें गलती नहीं है. If all the parts have error, then we'll pick option E. Let us read the sentence. Besides being a tremendously fighter, he's a poet too. And I have heard that poets feel painful more than other people. This is an easy one. Part A is absolutely correct. There are only 3 words in it and all of them have been used correctly, both contextually and grammatically. In part B, the adjective tremendous should be used in place of the adverb tremendously. This is because it is being used to modify the noun fighter. And we know, noun और pronoun को modify करने के लिए हम adjective use करते हैं. Verb, adverb और adjective को modify करने के लिए हम adverbs use करते हैं. Hence, we should use the adjective tremendous here. Part C is also incorrect because here the past participle form of the verb heard should be used with the present perfect tense construction have plus verb. We just saw how the perfect form in the present tense takes third form of the verb. Third form of the verb को हम past participle form भी बुलाते हैं. तो हमें पता है, जैसे कि हमने अभी टेबल में देखा था, we used V3 with present perfect tense. तो वहाँ पे we should use heard instead of hear because the construction was have plus verb. Again, in part D, the noun pain should be used in place of the adjective painful because the sentence talks about a feeling and not how it felt to the person, right? We talk about that a certain accident was painful, a certain memory was painful. But here we need a noun, pain. This makes option A our correct answer. Moving on to the second question. This one is a little different from the previous one. In the last question, we did error spotting. In this one, we're going to do direct-indirect speech. So here, we are given a sentence which is in the direct speech and we have to find the correct corresponding option for the indirect speech. So as we know, this is a very common and very popular question type, especially for exams like SSC. तो चलिए देखते हैं question क्या कहता है. Do you intend to make me bear this burden forever? The woman asked him. So as we can see here, the sentence is given in the simple present tense. Now when direct speech converts to indirect speech, the simple present tense changes to the simple past tense. Also, this will change to that. Option A can be eliminated because here the verb is in the simple present tense and in the singular form because it has the word intends. Option B is eliminated because although here the tense is correct, the sentence does not convert this to that. इस sentence में this as it is लिखा हुआ है, तो ये गलत है. In the third sentence, again, the tense is converted to the past perfect tense. It should not be the past perfect tense, it should only be the simple past tense. The usage of had intended gives away the fact कि यहाँ पे past perfect tense use हुआ है. Option D is correct because it makes both the changes correctly when converting direct speech into indirect form. The simple present tense intend is converted to simple past intended, and this is converted to that. This makes option D our correct answer. Not very difficult, right? The questions on tenses are usually easy, but we have to be careful of two facts. The first one, in question number 1, we saw that the question was a combination of multiple types of errors. It was not just tenses that we were tested on, right? So we have to make sure that we practice enough number of questions that contain combination of rules. Secondly, for the second question, indirect, we had to be very careful. Option B was as good as D. There was only a minor change there from this to that. So we have to be careful about every single change when converting or changing the tenses. Let us now move on and look at past tense. Again, as we know, past tense हमें क्या बताता है? It talks about a time frame of the past. पहले क्या हुआ था? And just like the present tense, it again runs in 4 forms. So let us move ahead. Look at a tiny table that talks about all these 4 forms. How is the construction given? And a couple of examples conjugated with the same. The simple past tense takes the second form of the verb, which is V2, along with he, she, I, you, they. For example, he swam, they swam. अच्छा, swim के 3 forms होते हैं. The first form of the verb would be swim. The second form would be swam, and the third form would be swum. For past continuous tense, we know एक चीज तो पक्की है, अगर continuous tense आएगा तो verb के first form के साथ ing लग जाएगा. ये चीज तो हम आंख बंद करके देख सकते हैं. For past continuous tense in the singular case, he, she, I के साथ was लगता है plus verb का ing form. For example, he was swimming. Plural के केस में जैसे कि you और they, हम उसके साथ were use करते हैं. For example, they were swimming. In the case of past perfect, we always use had plus the third form of verb. Now calling back to the present perfect tense, वहाँ पे हम have use करते थे या has use करते थे और उसके साथ third form of verb use करते थे, depending on whether it was singular or plural. Here, irrespective of singular or plural कि he use हो रहा है या they use हो रहा है, हम उसके साथ हमेशा had use करेंगे. So this makes our example look like he had swum and they had swum. Moving on to the last one, past perfect continuous tense. Here again, with all the forms he, she, I, you, they, हम सबके साथ uniformly had been use करेंगे, which is followed by the continuous form of the verb. For example, he had been swimming, they had been swimming. This set of rules is also easy. वैसे actually में rules easy ही होते हैं tenses के, but दिक्कत तब आती है when we have to apply these rules into questions. Let us move ahead and solve questions related to the past tense. Now the question that we are going to look forward is a common type in exams like MHCET, other banking exams which have questions on error spotting. तो चलिए ऐसे 2 questions solve करते हैं. In the first question here, we are given a sentence divided into 5 parts. Part E, जो कि bold और highlighted है, वो grammatically correct है. Now, of the other 4 remaining parts, only 1 part is without the error. मतलब बचे हुए 4 parts में से सिर्फ 1 part सही है, बाकी 3 में गलती है. We have to pick that part which is without the error. In case the complete sentence is correct as it is and there is no error, we'll pick option E. Let us read what the question says. He turned his horse around and quite waited till the others had saw what they wanted and then rid back without another word. Part A seems correct. Here, the pronoun, the verb, the noun, all of it has been used correctly and in correct place. It makes sense. Moving on to part B. Although हमें यहाँ लग गया है that there is a good chance part A is correct, but हो सकता है कि when conjugated with part B sense ना बनाए. Hence we will move forward and check कि भाई किसी और part में गलती है या नहीं है. How is it? Part B में adverb quietly should actually be used in place of the adjective quiet. Why? This is because it is being used to modify the verb waited. And as we know, adjectives are used to qualify nouns and pronouns, whereas adverbs are used to qualify verbs, adjectives and other adverbs. So it is plain and simple here. ये error easily spot कर सकते थे. That quietly should be used. In part C, the past participle form of the verb seen should be used in place of saw. This is because we have the past perfect tense construction had plus verb. अब हमने अभी देखा है जब भी हम had plus verb यूज करेंगे तो वहां पे हम verb का थर्ड फॉर्म जिसको हम past participle form भी बुलाते हैं वो यूज होगा. In part D, the simple past tense of the verb wrote should be used in place of read. Why? Because there is no need to use the participle form here. यहाँ पर we do not have the past participle construction or any participle construction. Hence, we should use the first form only. This makes option C, जो हमारे corresponding option A को denote कर रहा है, our correct choice. And our correct sentence would be, he turned his horse around and quietly waited till the others had seen what they wanted and then rode back without another word. Moving on to the next question. This is also a question on error spotting, but type different hai. Here again, a sentence is divided into 4 parts. There are 2 parts which are highlighted. The parts which are highlighted are both grammatically and contextually correct. अब हमें बचे हुए parts में से देखना है that which part has an error. In case the sentence is correct as it is, we will pick option E, which is no error. Let us read the sentence. To avoid falling into the hands of the English, the Spaniards threw themselves into the water. Many died instantly, while others swam some way in the disturbed water and then sank. Now this is a tricky one. Although it sounds correct, but there's a minor error here. The simple past tense of the word swam should be used in place of the past participle swum in part D. Now this is because the participle is used only with the perfect tense. अगर यहाँ पे has या had use होता, then we would have used swum, because अभी हमने देखा है that the third form of the verb, which is the participle form, will be used only in the construction had plus verb or has plus verb. This makes option D our correct choice. Now as we are moving through this lesson, हम देख रहे हैं that the questions are increasing a little bit on the difficulty scale. वैसे the rules are pretty easy. The tenses के rules are pretty simple, pretty sorted, and बहुत सारे rules भी नहीं होते हैं. Just basic things that we have been learning since we were in school. But when you try and apply these to questions in error spotting and the different types of questions, they become a little tricky because of 2 major reasons. In fact, 3 major reasons. The number 1 is exam stress. Exam stress में बैठ के कितनी बार ऐसा होता है कि हमको चीज आते हुए भी हम नहीं कर पाते हैं. So avoid that. Secondly, because the rules are easy but the question is presented in such formats that we sometimes tend to get confused. Third and the most important error that we all make is that we try to solve the question by how it sounds. No, you should solve the question according to logic and the context. जैसे we saw in the last question, question number 4. Here, although it was sounding correct, the sentence sounded perfectly fine. But here, there was a logical error of the participle construction usage. So make sure that you have all these rules on the tips of your hand, and more importantly, make sure that you practice more than enough number of questions to apply these rules. क्योंकि अगर questions नहीं practice करेंगे, there is no point that we'll be able to use these rules or find out the errors in questions in the actual examination. Moving on to the future tense. अब फ्यूचर टेंस हमें क्या बताता है? It talks about events that will happen in the future. Now, just like present and past tense, future tense also can be subcategorized. Let us look at the subcategories, how they are structured, and examples for the same. The first is the simple future tense. The simple future tense has a construction where we use he, she, I, you, they. उसके साथ either will or shall followed by the first form of the verb. For example, he will run, they will run. In the future continuous tense, whether it's the singular pronoun or the plural pronoun or noun, it will be followed by will or shall, followed by be, which is be, plus the first form of verb in the ing, that is a continuous form. For example, he will be running, they will be running. In the future perfect tense, the noun or the pronoun form, whether singular or plural, is followed by either will or shall, followed by have, and then followed by the third form of verb. तो एक चीज तो हमने देख ली है यहाँ पे, whether it's the present perfect tense or the past perfect tense or the future perfect tense, always there will be the third form of verb which is also called as the past participle form of the verb use होगा. For example, he will have run, they will have run. The last is the future perfect continuous tense. As we know, continuous tense में हमेशा ing form use होता है verb का. Similarly, यहाँ पे भी whether the noun or the pronoun form he, she, I, you, they will be followed by will or shall, followed by been, and followed by the continuous form of the verb. For example, he will have been running, they will have been running. Pretty simple, right? Usually present, past और future के जितने भी rules हैं काफी correlated होते हैं, तो आपको उसको याद रखने में difficulty नहीं होगी. Make sure you focus at the table and practice as many questions on the same to be able to correlate and remember the rules. Okay, before we move forward to the exceptions, आप पूछेंगे कि will और shall के बीच difference क्या होता है? Because in the previous table, we just saw about using either will or shall in the cases of future tense. Now, will का मतलब होता है पक्का से कोई event future में होगा. Shall depicts probability. Now both of them talk about an event that will happen in the future, but if I say something like he will come to my house, उसका मतलब होता है वो मेरे घर आएगा. But if I say something like he shall come to my house, then it will be translated to something like शायद वो मेरे घर आएगा, which means shall presents a possibility of maybe, maybe not. Now before we solve a couple of questions on this, let us look at a couple of important rules related to exceptions regarding tenses. Pay attention to this. You might want to note them down. The first exception here is with the usage of simple present tense, जहाँ पे the verb is in the singular form but with an S. For example, he plays a fair game. So here we can see the verb play is followed by an S. Now it is only and only in the cases of simple present tense जहाँ पे हम देखेंगे कि एक singular form of verb के end पे हमारा S आ रहा है. However, there will be no other case and no other exception जहाँ पे आप verb के end पे एक S लगाओगे. It's only and only in this specific case. The second exception is again with respect to the simple present tense. But here, it is in cases where the simple present tense is used to depict a fixed event in the future. मतलब अगर कोई event fix है कि पक्का से ये event future में होने वाला है, तो हम उसको simple present tense से depict कर सकते हैं. For example, the train starts at 7 a.m. tomorrow. Now, although we are referring to an event for tomorrow, we can always use the simple present tense or the verb in the simple present tense form. That is, starts here. The third and the last exception is with the usage of hypothetical situation in the plural form. Well, now this is an important rule and it has come into light in certain examinations with respect to error spotting questions. अब जब भी we talk about a condition that could be hypothetical or that may or may not occur, we will always use the plural form with the singular noun or pronoun. फिर से सुनिएगा ध्यान से, जब भी कोई hypothetical situation होगी, then we can use the plural form of the verb with the singular form of the noun. For example, I wish I were Batman. Now this is a wish, a hypothetical situation. इसीलिए हमने I के साथ यहाँ पे plural form were use किया. Now that we have looked at all the rules for all the tenses and completed the exceptions also, let us solve a couple of questions to practice the same. Now this is going to be a mixture of questions on future tense plus the other tenses as well. So let's get started. In the first question here, we are given a sentence with the part highlighted in bold. Now we have to choose from the options given below the one that reflects the future tense of the highlighted part and is grammatically and contextually correct. The sentence here says, various governments are working on regulations to prevent the use of AI for dangerous purposes, such as autonomous weapons. Now, the verb are working in the given question is in present continuous tense, and we have to find the option that reflects the future tense for the same. Option A is incorrect, as had been working is in past perfect continuous tense. Option B is incorrect, as worked is in the simple past tense. Option D is incorrect, as the verb work is in simple present tense. However, option C is the right answer, as will be working is in future continuous tense. So our correct answer says, various governments will be working on regulations to prevent the use of AI for dangerous purposes such as autonomous weapons. This makes option C the correct choice. Moving on to our next question. Here again, we are given a word or a phrase highlighted in bold in a sentence, and we have to find the option that reflects the future tense for the same. Now this should be simple. हमने अभी ये question किया है same pattern पे. चलिए फटाफट इसको solve करते हैं. The question here says, his death was mourned by many far and near. The verb was mourned is in simple past tense. Now we have to find the sentence which gives the future tense for the same verb. Option A is incorrect, as had been mourned is in the past perfect tense. C is incorrect, as is being mourned is in the present continuous tense. Option D में has been mourned present perfect tense में है. Again, this can be eliminated as it is incorrect. हमें future tense चाहिए. However, B is the right answer, as will have been mourned is in the future perfect tense. So our correct answer is, his death will have been mourned by many far and near. This makes option B our correct choice. Moving on to the last question for this session. This is a question on indirect and direct speech. Here we are given a sentence in the direct speech, and we have to find the corresponding sentence with the same meaning and correct grammar in the indirect speech. चलिए देखते हैं sentence क्या कहता है. We will give him the best directions we can, replied the damsels. Now here, the correct option is option C. The damsels replied that they would give him the best directions they could. When converting from direct to indirect speech, the modal verbs will and can will change to would and could. This eliminates option A and B. Again, the verb give will remain as it is. Will give would turn only to would give. This eliminates option D. Hence, option C becomes our right answer. This is a popular question type, especially for SSC exams. Tenses constitute some of the easiest rules in grammar, and these are questions जहाँ पे you can pick up maximum amount of marks. So if you ever get a question on tenses in your exam, make sure not to omit it. Always give it a try, क्योंकि questions easy होते हैं. ये questions time कम लेते हैं. This saves you up on a lot of time, and you can invest it in another section or in a question that takes time. For example, long questions of sentence completion, long questions of central idea. आप वहाँ पे ये time invest कर सकते हो. Also, they are highly scoring. ज़्यादा rules भी नहीं है याद करने के लिए. Also, be aware of the exceptions too. Again, हमने यहाँ पे देखा that tenses can be tested in multiple question types. There was direct, indirect, there was active passive, there was error spotting. Again, there were questions on direct tenses, where the question simply asked us to change the tense. Make sure you practice enough number of question types so that even in questions of sentence correction or error spotting, जहाँ पे we have multiple rules, or apart from other rules in tenses, we have rules of grammar also, like those of adjectives, adverbs, you're easily able to crack it. That's all for this session. Happy learning!